But I don't understand why he's talking about all-in.
Like a metaphor?
Metaphor.
Yeah, what does mean? I don't
The
understand.
metaphor means that basically
what he wanted to say.
what he wants to say is that
Okay,
if
lots of mechanical advanced technologies combined just only the simple, one part called the big problem, right?
Yeah.
But why he did say that?
why he says it is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm trying to explain right now.
Yeah, say again.
So basically, the problem is that once with automation, the potential of revenue starts to increase dramatically. But we need to work, basically then the weakest link becomes very important. So the weakest link, for example, when we started to automate car manufacturing, we needed to sell them. But if we don't have salespeople, we will not be able to sell it. So we can make these cars cheaply, but we need to make sure that they come to the American audience. So we need to educate salespeople.
He's talking about quality control.
He's talking about the fact that automation creates a potential for revenue that creates a demand for new labor, for people who can support that revenue to be material.
What? But the all-in is all-in, right?
You still don't get it. Okay, so
they have let's say they have very sophisticated parts combined.
Yes.
But only simple, low-quality parts cause a big problem, right?
Yes. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that these O-rings do not stop us anymore. So this is a chain, a value chain. Then if one part of the value chain becomes more potential, gets more potential for profitability.
So my question is, he wants to talk about quality control?
No. He says that because of this potential, we need to step up the other elements in this value chain. So,
this is what he said. I don't understand. Value chain and relating. What kind of relation?
You know what a value chain is?
Yeah, I know very well.
He implied value chain, right?
Yes, he implies.
He didn't say the value chain, but
didn't say value chain. He implies.
Probably, I think he wants to say he wants to imply the value chain or something like that.
But value chain, what does it mean, value chain?
It means that basically, because we can produce cars cheaply, it doesn't mean that we will sell these cars, right? It doesn't mean that we will sell these cars because we don't have any people to sell them, because we don't have a good infrastructure, because we don't have people who can drive cars. So because the first step was Ford started to manufacture cars cheaply. But then, so people who were driving like horses, they lost their job. And then, oh my God, this is such a potential. But at the same time, the rest of the value chain was not developed yet. We didn't have this road infrastructure. We didn't have people who could drive cars. We didn't have the people who could sell these cars. So that basically created the demand for other people to leverage the potential of these cheaply manufactured cars. So these people were gradually substituted. These horsemen were generally substituted by car salesmen, road construction, car school drivers. So this process means that it is an immediate threat for people in the similar industry. Who are they replacing? But it will create employment in different ways. Just like the bank tellers, we create an ATM that has a potential to make our costs reduced. What will happen to all the people who are handing out money by hand every day? They will lose their job, The reality is that these people who lost their job were more than substituted. So 100,000 people lost their jobs, but 200,000 people were hired by the banks. Why? Because in order to because they reduced their cost, they could actually diversify. They could offer credit card services, they could offer loans, they could offer investment opportunities, insurance.
I totally understand what you say, but why he choose the all-in
Yeah,
want
this
to
is
say
my
that.
question.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's really makes
But
sense.
what
But
it
why
is-
he choose the O-ring?
Because
they
the
have
O-ring-
many, there are many things like that.
Mm.
Why O-ring? Because
Okay, the O-ring basically means that when we are capable of increasing the value, basically when we are capable, when we are investing a lot of money, the value of the weakest link is going up because we need to make it work everywhere. So if we automate things, the value in the chain that will deliver that will become more and more important. Therefore, we shouldn't look only at this part that we're trying to replace. Actually, the entire value chain will become more important, will create more employment. So what will happen in AI, it will probably reduce work for accountants, right? Immediately, accountants might be replaced. But don't forget that with that happening, we might be able to develop something much more important. Maybe these people who are now just accounting become real life advisors of how we should manage and spend our money proactively instead of reactively. Accountants are basically registering what happened. Now the next step is that we are going to use these professional skills to not to explain to us what happened, but what we should do. And the tools like AI will help us to do that.
I don't understand. Why he just pick up O-ring?
So is this easily for the Americans? I'm not sure.
Okay,
And also,
I think-
so when say that Windows 2000 after that crash, some people is laughing.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Okay.
Why they laugh that?
Kimoto-san, do you know why this is funny?
I
You're
couldn't-
not listening.
I couldn't understand. So why people laugh about?
Because Windows 2000 sucked.
Yeah, I know.
It nearly wrecked Microsoft.
So you mean that just 2000 is the most terrible operation system from the Microsoft? So that's
Right.
why.
Because if they could fix one thing, Windows 2000, they could fix one thing, but probably another thing would fail. So it was.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter. I'll give you another example. I was in Africa, and I was visiting a development aid project in Tanzania,
Wow.
a glass factory.
Mhm.
People invested glass factory. They put all the machines there. They built a big factory. And there wasn't any glass manufacturing in Africa until then. They imported everything from India, and they said they thought it was a good idea. Let's make glass there. So they got a lot of loans from the World Bank, from the Belgian government. They put in the machinery. They made a beautiful factory, but it didn't produce any glass. Why was that? Because in that supply chain, you need a good infrastructure to actually be able to transport that glass out of the factory. That road was the O-ring. That road was the O-ring.
This is quality control.
Quality control. No, actually, the importance of road maintenance became much more important. Until then, there was no benefit of maintaining that road.
Yeah.
No maintaining.
But now there was a glass factory. All of a sudden, the value of that road, the importance of that road, became very crucial. Because otherwise, they would not be able to make any profit from that glass factory.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So every
So that's
level
what
they
happens.
Is that
So there
already
is
is kind of the infrastructure to make about it?
Yeah.
Okay, so my metaphor is too
Still
far.
don't understand why he's talking about O-ring. I don't understand.
I don't know.
And this is, I think, that accident is their quality check is insufficient, right? So that caused that accident.
Well, they were very unlucky that it was freezing that night before in the desert, which is not that common. And they probably did not anticipate and didn't test that scenario with extreme coldness. That the freezing the freezing temperatures would actually impact the rubber, because when they lifted off, it was very early in the morning, it was still frozen, and the sudden increase in temperature did something to the rubber that.
But this is a very simple issue in the automobile industry. And the automobile industry, I involved in the more than 10 years quality control system.
Oh, really?
Yes, and every aspect of how to build automobile engines is very carefully considered for their quality. But his issues is like that. But I maybe he just pick up this issue.
So-
I thought like that.
Actually, I couldn't get what did he say exactly, but he said about accidental challenges.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But my
I couldn't
my
get that
simple
one.
question is why he's pick Odin? This is what I don't
Yeah, me
understand.
too. Actually, so I totally agree with your explain. That makes sense. But the O-ring is actually difficult. So the glass factories.
This is what I doesn't make sense what he said. Okay, why he's pick up Odin?
Basically, the O-ring principle means that once the automation, when the value of the importance of the value chain succeeding, it increases the value of the other production, of the other parts of the value chain.
Mhm. So because O-ring also have to be developed.
Yes.
So that's why.
So AI will compete directly with certain jobs, but also because of the potential that AI has to create value, it will create a lot of new jobs, because this enormous potential, just like the internet,
Mhm.
has become extremely valuable for people like Mark Zuckerberg. Doesn't pay anything for the infrastructure, managed to leverage and create a $1 billion enterprise for himself. So, but that the value of that infrastructure, the value that is, he's completely dependent on it. So, at the moment, internet, it creates a possibility, but who's going to make money out of it, we don't know yet. So AI will do the same thing. It will be competing directly with certain ways. We can argue that the internet actually has been a very big threat to mailmen around the world, because now everybody can send emails and electronic mails.
So you mean the quality control, including setting up the infrastructure, is your quality control definition?
Quality control. I don't think it's only quality control. Basically, when we have a new technology, it's called creative destruction. The economist Schumpeter, he wrote about this, and he already explained that basically new technology will destroy new industries and will create old industries. We create new industries that will not only replace the old industries, but actually create more value. The process of creative destruction drives economic growth. So the internet may have cost mailmen their job, because the simple change from regular mail to email that has had a big impact. But it also created people like Mark Zuckerberg.
By the way, mailing is reducing.
Sorry?
Mailing is reducing.
So wear and tear is
No. Mailing volume.
Mailing.
Is,
Mailing.
Mailing volume.
Oh, physical
is
mail?
decreasing? Yeah.
I don't know.
Actually, in the Nengajo, the New Year.
Probably.
Oh, that is increasing.
It's a very decreasing now. The amount of Nengajo.
Really?
So because my
Of
ex
course.
company is a
really?
gadget company, so the demand is less than year by year. So it's gonna be terrible about
Oh, really?
Nengajo. Nengajo is a New Year agreement or something.
Yeah, New Year's
I
card.
don't know how to say.
Would you like senbei?
I'm sorry?
Senbei?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Really? I didn't know that. I thought increasing.
Yeah, but I think it's demand on the C2C demand, but I don't know the B2B demand. But I think
B2B
that-
too. Actually, our company, we have the same discussion about.
Oh, really? But
I got
actually,
the
the C2C, the mailing demand I'm sure that it's gonna be decreasing.
Yeah, right.
Continue to decrease.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know B2B. Actually.
I never heard about they are closing a post office or they are closing some posts. I've never heard about that.
But I think it would be easy to find the statistics and the number of
Of
cars
course,
that are
but
being sold.
I didn't. But of
But
course,
if we look at that, I'm not sure how people really laid off because.
but how come they got profit?
So that's the point. They're starting to do other things. They're changing their ways and they're starting to offer new services.
Do they?
Yeah.
What kind of services?
Oh, like for example, insurance sales to come.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.